It's the Monday night tradition that everybody's talking about. Yes, friends, welcome to Monday Night Chaos. That's right, friends, the internationally acclaimed Monday Night Chaos. Welcome to each and every one of you, friends, well-wishers, and otherwise. Hope everyone's having a lovely Monday. It's a lovely Monday right here in where am I? San Diego, California, having a lovely Monday. That's why I'm cooped up inside with all the shades drawn, because it's such a lovely day. Welcome to the internationally acclaimed Monday Night Chaos. Good evening to each and every one of you. If you notice, we're creeping this thing a little bit earlier each and every time, because what I'm trying to do is get you ready for Monday mornings with Yellkaos, and then you guys will really feel like you're getting your money's worth out of this program. I hope you feel like you get your money's worth, these days. But these are things that I just like to, make sure that everyone's as happy as they possibly can be. But welcome to Monday Night Chaos. I am the eighth wonder of the internet, the immortal Yellkaos, here for your viewing pleasure. Hope everyone's having a great time. I can see in the comment section already, which has taken on a life of its own, as it does each and every week, right here on Monday Night Chaos. All the usual suspects are in line, and they're just having a talk amongst themselves. They're talking about all sorts of things. They're talking about Angry Joe in there, that poserific dung heap. I know you folks, you're upset that what Angry Joe did, and that only means that you were not here on YouTube 6 months ago when he did the time before that, and 6 months before the time before he did that. The ever edgy Angry Joe is apparently angry yet again. So you can't say that he disappoints. At least he's consistent. He's still apparently angry, just like how Samoa Joe is still apparently Samoan. But no one wants to pay him either, so I think that kind of makes this all a bit of a moot point. But anyway, welcome to our program. We hopefully have a decent show for you this evening. I want to let everybody know that down below, you can check out the what they used to call the description box, and you can see all the links on how to get a hold of me. Please follow me, see what you can do. There's lots of fun to be had with me other places, on the Facebook, on the Twitter. If you get yourself a Nintendo Wii U, you can find me on the MiiVerse. Just so long as you're not sharing fan translated versions of Mother, I think you'll be okay if you post on the MiiVerse. Just don't do that, apparently, and they won't have to visit your house and make your body not so ready. But anyway, all that aside, welcome. And I want to say hello to all the nice people, because a bunch of great people. And you could be doing anything on a Monday night, but you chose to be here, I mean, you could be like the boss in Burf and walk through fart clouds. That could be your thing. We could talk about that. I don't know if you really want to, but apparently there was many fart clouds to be had at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and that's what was reported by the boss in Burf, the ever-present, the ever-knowing boss in Burf. My sympathies to you. I can say that I don't know that I've ever walked directly through I don't know if gamers have specific kind of gas, because apparently, according to the internet, gamers have special everything. There are particular types of gamer girls. There are particular types of gamer food. There's particular types of gamer seats. I imagine gamer seats, that means a really wide one, but that's a discussion for another time. So I don't know if there's gamer gas. If there is gamer gas, I want as far away from the gamer gas as possible. But the boss in Burf, he experienced it. He lived it and was here to tell each and every one of us. And for that, sir, well, first and foremost, I'm repulsed. But you're doing the Lord's work, and no one can fault you for that. Not a person. And while you all take a second to coalesce the vapor. Oh shit, that was a heavy pun just then, wasn't it? While you do that, I'm going to take a sip here, and you can think about gamer gas for just a moment. Also, if you guys aren't doing anything and you want to check out a pretty cool YouTuber, check out Boss and Burf. I think if this works the way I think it works, you can simply click on his name over there in the comment box, and see what he's got, see the kind of videos he does, reviews and all that sort of thing. So check him out, and hopefully he won't talk too much more about gamer gas. But if he does, it could be a genre on YouTube. It really could, honestly. We are a community that has a genre of channel consisting of people diving in the trash. So anything is possible. Anything. I implore you to explore and be careful with it, but don't forget to explore the ups and downs of anything. Don't be afraid. This is the internet. We don't have to play by TV's rules, for better and for worse. But anyway, we got a halfway decent show for you. I'll be taking your questions in just a little while, but there's a few things that I wanted to get off of my chest. Not necessarily get off my chest. I mean, I already said the thing about Angry Joe being poserific and all that crap. And who still wears the leather jacket with the racing stripes on it? I just wanted to bring that up. Like, what is this, 1996? Did you just cut an album called Load? What the fuck? Again, I apologize for my language. I was trying to keep this clean, trying to keep this a family program, and then Angry Joe comes on with his stupid leather jacket, and I got all off base, and it's already it's already cramping our style right here on Monday Night Chaos. But as I was saying earlier, and I got a little sidetracked, thank you for making it out to our internationally acclaimed program. There's nothing quite like it, as I've heard. So again, thank you for your support. And also, I understand that a lot of you people out there have figured out ways to download this audio, and then you listen to it on your drive to work or your drive home from work or whatever it is that you do. Some people have listened to it around the house, weeks after I did this. And for those of you people, I'm glad that I am doing one more thing to help combat the BS that is terrestrial radio. I'm doing everything I can, and I hope that I can count on your support for some time after this. I really do. Anyway, I guess before I get over here, I'll dive into some of the questions. A lot of questions coming up, and I don't want anyone to feel left out. Kishiro guy, who I guess recently started following me on Twitter, says, "What third-party Wii U titles am I looking forward to?" What's that? I wish I could say that that I can't even name any third-party titles coming to the Wii U that I'm really and I do get that the indie titles are considered third-party, but those games look like, I don't know. I mean, I know there are people who are really into indie games just because they are low budget, and that's fun and everything. The only one that really sticks out, because I see him every so often, one that has just completely stopped being talked about, and I'm holding out hope, and I keep seeing a snippet here and there from Yellkaos that it's still alive, is the 90s arcade racer. I know I've talked about that quite a bit. At least I think I have. A game very much in the vein of Daytona USA by Sega. Very much in a Sega vein type game. Was announced, God, I want to say during the launch window of the Wii U, and that must have been November 2012, and here we are in April of 2015. They're really dragging their feet on that. I think that would probably be something of a limited appeal, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But that's one that sticks out. And the other one is one called Runbow, and Runbow, I don't know how to describe it, so I'm not going to. This is the internet. Please check it out. It's exactly how it sounds. Runbow, Runbow. That one. And aside from that, those are the only ones that are really sticking out in my brain as of right now. Everything else I'm waiting on is Nintendo first and second party. And there's a whole bunch of that. Around here in the Yellkaos house, we cannot wait for Yoshi's Woolly World. That looks like to be a lot of fun. But we'll talk about that some other time. That's not what you wanted to hear about. Fanux wants to know, what first-party PS Vita games are you looking forward to? Are there a lot of I don't know a lot about the PS Vita. I'm noticing that there's a lot of strategy games on the PS Vita. I don't own a PS Vita myself. I'm waiting until the price is right because they're still a little expensive. And I talked about this on the program before, and I talked about with my good friend Sean Riley, PlayStation, and we kind of went back and forth. And he's a father, he's got children, he's got things to do. Me, I don't have children, so I have a little more spare time than a lot of people my age. But I don't know that I have time for another handheld, because between all the other stuff that I already own, my Game Boys and my Game Gear and all the older systems I have, and my 3DS, I don't know that I have time to bring on another one. Maybe in the future, and again, when the price is right on PS Vita. But I'm not familiar with a lot of the games, but I am curious to sink my teeth into once those games. Unfortunately, I sound like this might sound kind of cold-blooded and maybe even ironic, but I'm waiting for the Vita to die. There's already a fair amount of software, and if I can pick it up for really cheap, there's just a wealth of software available for it. And it looks like halfway decent games. But again, it's a matter of, I think that what the 3DS, those games appeal to me more. And again, the PS Vita is just, it's a bit expensive for, you know, trying to shoehorn even more games into my life when there's lots and lots and lots and lots of video games in my life, you know, because not only all the time I spend playing video games at home, myself and Mrs. Yellkaos, we spent all weekend playing games, actually. Did a lot of the Kirby's Rainbow Curse, and I dig that one. And then we played Super Punch-Out, because I got that as my platinum gift on Club Nintendo. But I also spend a lot of time going out to arcades in the area. There's quite a few. Now, arcades here in San Diego, we like to call those laundromats. But I go out to those and play games there. So I think for me, the Vita would just be, like I said, trying to shoehorn even more games into an already crowded gaming schedule that I have. And I do keep a schedule. You know, in the same way that I keep a practice regimen for playing guitar, I allot a certain amount of time for video games, you know, because I like to be well-rounded. So, anyway, let me see here. Psycho DX, who's, I'm surprised to see him here. He was, I guess, the moderator in the comment section earlier. And thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. We always need a kind, smiling face when everyone gets here, because we know that this is not the place to look for one. But he says, what game series do you feel is in dire need of a resurgence? Well, do you mean resurgence in terms of popularity and thereby used for advertising purposes in campaigns and such, or a new series of games to be made? I don't feel that any old game series, I'm at that point where I am sick and tired of long-running game series. In the way that, with the way my government is run, I'm sick and tired of seeing the same goddamn faces shuffled around, and I'm expected to believe that that is progress, that is how it's supposed to be. I don't believe any of that. And similarly with game series and those who run this industry even, is that there needs to be some fresh talent. There needs to be some fresh names. You know, I think that the overall gaming public has, and I don't want to badmouth you fine folks, but it seems to me, shouldn't say always, but to me it seems as though the general gaming public has been brainwashed to believe that it's impossible to strike new veins of resource, that you forever have to, you know, there should not be a Call of Duty every year. You know what I mean? I'm at that point where I don't know. I think that it's a shame to think of everything as a game series or to think of everything as a franchise. That's something that's bothered me for a really long time, is that these things are not looked at as individual works that can stand on their own. They're looked at as part of a lineage, as part of a franchise, supporting the idea that they cannot stand on their own. And also, I think that waters down their importance when they're expected to just be one of the group, to just be one of the stable. You know, similar with the Mario games. And now Mario, I think, is more of a marketing face than anything else. And when you talk about all the Super Mario Brothers, now, mind you, they're spaced out a little bit better than more recent series. But, you know, there becomes great confusion. And I don't know. Maybe I'm over-examining that, but I really feel that we need some fresh faces. And I refuse to believe that all the talented people working in this business today cannot conjure some fresh, charismatic faces. You know, there's so many games that I feel are quite technically sound and technically impressive, but the charisma is not there. You know, it almost seems like everything is designed to spawn a series, and that is not how great works come. So yeah, lots and lots of folks down here. Sigma Sean wants to know, am I tired of Mario? No, not in the slightest. Again, Mario is not a series of games. Mario is a guy that knows how to sell games and has a great mustache. I wish I had a mustache like Mario. Let me see here. Uh, Fanox wants to know my thoughts of the melodic death metal genre. I'm not a big fan of chopping metal into genres anymore because even that, there's just the names of the genres become a matter of contention. There are groups of people, for some reason, that will go to battle against one another to decide what is or is not death metal and what is or and even in power metal. How those limp-wristed nerds, no offense to any limp-wristed nerds that are listening, how those guys can hate on each other and you know, I thought they were friendly people, but they take that shit seriously, and apparently that sort of thing is decided by how many keyboards are involved. I think similar to melodic death metal, that's really much a gauge of how many keyboards are involved and how many songs are, you know, left-wing underhanded about a girl, you know. In Flames songs, for instance. So I'm not really clear on what does or does not qualify as melodic death metal. I do know that I like Soilwork a lot. So, and bands that sound remotely like Soilwork. And no, I don't like I don't hate In Flames. In Flames to me is kind of like they're like the radio. They're one of those what I call radio metal bands. You know, they're a slightly revved up version of radio rock, where you turn on the radio and, oh, there's In Flames, the way you'd hear, like, you know, Matchbox 20 or Soil, bands like that. Oh, maybe the next song is good. You know, they're one of those bands to me. That's how I feel about those groups. Fatality 65 wants to know what I think about Nintendo banning screenshots of the AVGN game on the MiiVerse. I didn't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. That sounds like that's between James Rolfe and Nintendo of America. I don't know anything about that. PD Piranha 77 wants to know if I play Smash Brothers U. As a matter of fact, I do. Thank you for asking. And he says, if so, who is your most played character? I could swear I've answered this once or twice, but I like to use my Mii. If you know those little avatar characters that have recently been, or I shouldn't say recently, but that was one of the big selling points for this Smash Brothers, was the use of the Miis. That really sold me on the game. I was ready, but that pushed me over the cliff. Similar with the Mario Kart, I use my Mii. And if you ever come across me in online play, which is freaking rare, terribly rare, and I don't even think you can use the Miis in online play on Smash Brothers. But yeah, you probably snicker because it looks just like me. In fact, check if you got a Wii U, go ahead and check me out. There's information to find me on the MiiVerse, and you'll crack up because it looks just like me. It's kind of funny, which must mean I have a fairly generic or easy to copy face. You know, either or. Lewis Williams wants to know, do I like Sabaton? No, not really. I've tried. No, not really. Good imagery, you know, they got a good sound, but I don't like their songs. What was sorry, this thing moves a little quick for me. There was a question somebody asked and I lost it, and now I feel like a jerk. Hold on a second here. No. Talk about 1886 being a movie, the Order 1886 being a movie. Art Bucker wants to know, do I believe that gaming hit a creative dead end after 2005? No, I don't believe that at all. I believe, and you can debate me on this all you like, but things have always been kind of mediocre. When you really look at pop culture and all things creative, and now because of the way TV is and because of the internet, competition is fierce, and you have a whole bunch of uncreative people trying to make money in the creative entertainment space. And so what it really boils down to is who gets the most exposure until later on, you know, talking about the video game online community, say 15, 20 years from now, are going to look at games that came out like on mobile, if you can keep those games around, not to the, you know, the ESA is not going to help you fucking do that. Those motherfuckers. We can talk about that in a second. But it's going to be interesting that a lot of games. There's some great games coming out right now, but you're not going to find out about it because they are hidden gems. There are still hidden gems coming out to this day. You're just not going to find out about them because that's the thing. They're hidden. Not everybody has the advertising budget they really need because as I've said on this program 100 times before, there is a huge difference between designing and making video games and packaging and selling video games. Those are two distinct ideas. Similarly to being on TV versus making a TV show happen. Those are not even remotely similar. They appear similar because they have a similar idea in terms of creativity, but it's one thing to sit in front of a camera and simply talk to a camera like I'm doing right now versus packaging it and making people buy it. But no, I don't think the creative. I think that after 2005, with the success of the Xbox 360 and the Nintendo Wii, just like on the Atari 2600 and say the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sony PlayStation before it, a lot of people said, "Hey, I can make money doing that." Not, "Hey, I've got an idea that would be fun for people." And they would like to try this, and then, I would like to make sure people have fun. No one sat down and said that. A bunch of people sat down and said, "Hey, people are paying money for these video game things. I bet you we can make some money off of that." And when that's your initial goal, you're doomed from the very beginning. No matter what your endeavor, you are doomed from the very beginning if the first thing you can think is, "Boy, I can make some money doing that." Because there's a lot of people doing that with professional wrestling and movies and so forth. And as I guess the old adage would say, you might as well piss up a flagpole because you're not going to be making the progress that you'd like to. Now some people strike gold the first try, but that was a long time ago. But anyway, no, I think that there are great games coming out still to this day. Just, it takes time. That's one thing time is really good about, is allows the cream to rise to the top and allows you to separate the wheat from the chaff. It takes time, and I think that's something that's interesting to me is how impatient gamers are today. And I shouldn't say today, they've always been, because this is, some people don't realize this, but video games for a lot of people, and especially for people like me, and I'm sure just like all of you, is that it's your junk. You need it. But luckily, I've got a pretty fat library in my house, so if I want to try something different, it's not hard for me. Other people, it's different. I know that. But how the gaming companies have not really caught on to this, because it seems like, as I've said before, games are taking longer because they're costing more money and they're not hiring more people. The industry is, in fact, shrinking. And there's also the mobile games, which are, for the most part, time wasters. And so that's, I think, the only thing they've done to really cater to that market. But I'm getting off track. If this were the Hate Bit podcast, we could just say, "Oh, well, that's just the way things go on the Hate Bit podcast." But right here on Monday Night Chaos, we got to run a tight ship because why not? Do better than some of them other programs, people that need to record their shit. But anyway. Maxim Index wants to know, do I think that digital downloads for classic games are good at fighting expensive retro game prices? Yes. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what's going to help combat it. Now, you won't see it right away, but you're seeing it already, that these games, they're easier to come by. Now, mind you, you do have to invest in whatever machine it is that sells you these games. So there's that. But I think it's definitely going to combat. And again, I've said this on this program before. It all depends on what your perspective is, because to some people, resellers are people just trying to make their money, or they're offering a service, and other people, they're the scum of the earth. But I do think that, yes, you will see the prices start to fall. I don't really root against that the prevalence of the game stores. I don't like them, but that's a complicated issue for me. But soon we will see a balance come to the market. Not like another, enough game stores have not been brought to their knees already. A drink of water, excuse me. Never hoist to have a little water. Kishoro guy wants to know, do I think there needs to be a new gaming manufacturer in console gaming to compete with Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft? No. No, not at this time. In a few years, once this market really has a chance to recover, then yeah, I think that could be a real positive thing to have one more competitor in the situation. But right now is not the time. Somebody should be doing somebody should be doing research right now and really paying attention to what's going right for this generation and what's really going wrong for this generation. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And I hope that somebody's taking notes. I should really be taking notes. In fact, if you just listen to the Hate Bit podcast for the last few years, take notes from that, and you can learn to sidestep some of the potholes that are going to turn up in this industry later on, and teach a college course on it, and then make gaming better. That's one thing that I really hope. Let me see. Maxim Index wants to know, do I think that there are still strong contenders left for the Smash ballot? Sure. I didn't put mine in. I forgot, but I wanted to put Takamura from, or the Takamaru from the mysterious, damn it, I can't remember. I got it on my 3DS, and a mysterious Murasame Castle. That guy, I like that guy. Let me see. Okay, Adam Eugene Stanza has a wrestling question. He wants to know, would I rather watch a bad episode of WCW Thunder? You're going to have to be specific because they were all bad. Everything WCW touched turned to, rusted iron. They turned diamonds to rust. Or a good episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. Well, a good episode of TNA Impact Wrestling would probably be one that was preempted by a rerun of the Three Stooges. A rain delay on TNA Impact. God, they're both pretty awful. I'll watch TNA Impact and I'll ignore it anyway. I'll just be on my phone. You can watch it, Adam, and you can tell me about it, and I'll be, I'll look at something on my phone. Kishore guy wants to know, have I played Pushmo? Yes, I've played all of the Pushmos. Pushmo and Crashmo and Pushmo World. That's done by my boys. Intelligent Systems, the Fire Emblem people. Fantastic stuff. If you like puzzles, do it. Boston Burf wants to know if I ever played any other instruments besides guitar. Does a fart count? I'll let you get back to me. I also play, yes, I am a fairly seasoned percussionist. Not very good on a trap drum set, but I'm a fairly seasoned percussionist. I don't have the lung capacity for wind instruments. I tried, can't do it. And I've played other stringed instruments. I used to date a girl who was a violinist, so she'd let me, pluck at her strings every so often. And then I'd play the violin. And we get votes for Captain Rainbow being in the Super Smash Brothers. I'm all in favor of that. I'm all in favor of Captain Rainbow. Oh, let me see here. Biogenesis wants to know, what are my top 5 DS games? Holy smoke. I don't know. Let me wax on that for a second. I know definitely on that. This is in no particular order. One that really is great is Metroid Prime Pinball. Get that one. I'm just gonna do just physical DS titles, not DSi stuff, because there's some good stuff in DSiWare too. But Metroid Prime Pinball, that's a good one. New Super Mario Brothers, that's a gimme. That's a gimme. That's the game that sold me on the DS. Trauma Center, Under the Knife. That's another one that sold me on the DS. That's a good one. Mario Kart DS. Oh, that's a good one. What else here? What was that golf game that I like so much? Touch Golf? True Swing Golf. True Swing Golf. I like that one by T&E Soft. They do good work. They do good work over there. And is that 5? I guess that's 5. Oh, God, I could probably go on for a while. I'm going to do my DS collection here pretty soon, and then I'll gush on and on about that shit. Good stuff to be had on the Nintendo DS. And the Nintendo DS is actually fantastic as if you have the DS, well, if you have the original Nintendo DS or the DS Lite, fantastic as a Game Boy Advance. That's my preferred method for playing Game Boy Advance games, primarily because it has a headphone jack, and that's very important to me. I find that interesting. I want to talk about that for a second. That's something that's interesting to me. Is I've become very much appreciative of the ability to play games with my headphones in. It's a special experience that I was not a fan of when I was a kid. I don't know why that is. I've always had a rather acute sense of hearing, but now that I can have it close to me, that's why I have really grown attached or appreciative rather of the Virtual Console service on the Wii U, because it allows me to play those games with my headphones in, which is something I couldn't do. It might seem kind of minor from the outset, but something that I think is really neat. So that's important to me, and that's why I use the DS Lite to play Game Boy Advance games. It's great. Let me see here. I'm trying to think, is there something I left out? Is somebody giving headbanging advice? If you're giving headbanging advice, one strong piece of advice I must give is, always warm up and I don't know, find out which ones work for you, because no matter how hard you throw your head, it doesn't make the music heavier. And as you get older, it just gives you a headache. So you got to find you'll see the old guys. You ever seen the old guys headbang? That's what they can do. As long as if they look angry, that's the great thing about headbanging. If you look angry, it looks more intense. And I didn't even have my hair down, So the pilot wants to know, how long do you play guitar? For a very long time. How long have I, or do you mean how long have I been playing guitar? I swear we've talked about this. I've been playing for, it'll be 20 years eventually. Coming up on 20 years. I can't remember exactly. But eventually 20 years. So I imagine everything will eventually be 20 years ago. But soon enough, 20 years-ish, something, I don't know. For longer than I can, oh, I'm dripping on myself. For longer than I care to remember. And I did it before the internet came around. That's something that I I find interesting. And somehow I learned to do this without the internet, because now the internet, holy shit, you can learn to play guitar in like an hour with the internet. Not really. There's services that claim that they can teach you. It's not true. But the resources are really available. And I remember when they first became available, it was awful. You had to learn shit through the Rio player. If you're old enough to remember the Rio player, oh God. It makes you just want to puke in your soup. It's terrible. But yeah, man, learning to play guitar in the 90s. Ooh, good God. Fennec says he prefers the sexy side to headbang. Fabulous. Well, there you are. The pilot wants to know, how long do I play each day? I try and play for at least 1 hour each day, but it ends up being longer than that. Especially when I'm in the midst of deciding what guitars to hang on to and which ones to get rid of. And so I'm finding I'm playing those guitars a little bit more to see if I really want to keep them. But I try and do at least an hour a day. But now that I've got, for those of you who don't know, I did pick myself up a new amplifier, and it is super loud. So I don't know if the house can take it if I play for much more than an hour. Even on its lowest setting, that fucking thing is loud. Lewis Williams wants to know, have I ever been hurt really badly in a mosh pit? Yes, I have. I think I told this story, but I'm going to tell this story. Friends, well-wishers, longtime supporters of the program, I want to tell you this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this in all sincerity. This program is not brought to you by Seagram's International. I mean this in all honesty, in all sincerity, that we are living through a bit of an obesity epidemic in this country. I know that because whenever well, I won't tell you that. That's actually gross. I won't tell you that. But I'm just gonna go in a different direction, actually. But years ago, I'll cut to the chase. If you are a big fat fuck, and I hope you take that in the kind, gentle, loving way in which I mean it. If you are a big fat fuck, stage diving is not for you. I mean that. With all sincerity, with all honesty, with all seriousness, it is not for you. And I'll tell you what I mean. Years and years ago, long before Mrs. Yellkaos, when I was a much younger Yellkaos, and I was in better shape. For this very reason, I'm no longer in better shape, actually. I believe that. I mean that. Who was going to be a different Mrs. Yellkaos, but it didn't work out that way. A girl I was seeing. Back in the ages of MySpace, way back 100 years ago, she said to me, she said, "Hey," I said, "What?" She said, "There's a MySpace secret show." I said, "What the hell is that?" She says, "They're having a show. Only people in MySpace know about it, and there's a rumor that it's going to be Kill Switch Engage." I'm like, "Okay," and she says, "Let's go." I said, "Are you driving?" She said, "Yes." I said, "All right, I'm fucking in. Free show, and I don't have to drive." So we get there, and sure enough, it is Kill Switch Engage with All That Remains, and All That Remains comes on. I kind of like All That Remains. They've got some pretty good songs. And I get separated from this girl that who I was seeing, and we went to the Key Club on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. And we finally muscle our way in here. This place is fucking crowded. I want to say that the Key Club maybe holds about 600 or 700, and there must have been 1,000 people in this place. It was ridiculous. It was disgusting. And I somehow got into the sort of downstairs floor area because I couldn't find a place. And no matter where I stood, I couldn't see anything. And we got separated. And I got into this spot where there's a moment in time where a mosh pit ceases being a mosh pit, and it becomes this gelatinous sea of humanity where everyone is locked shoulder to shoulder in this tight space, and you have no choice but to ebb and flow and move with the tide either way. And I was locked into this position, and I'm not a small man, but there was enough humanity surrounding me to lock me into this position. And, this is before my vision got so bad to where I had to wear spectacles. And I can't believe this, but I see some kid get up on the stage while the song's going on, and I just see this playing out in my brain, and this big fat fuck, this kid, he was probably about 16 or 17 years old. I was probably 21, I think. This kid must have been like probably about 290, maybe 3 bills, and less than 6 feet tall. So I might be exaggerating a bit. He probably maybe more like 270, but a big kid. And he goes and tries to step on the monitor, but the monitor was not secured and gives way. And this fat fuck falls right on me, and my head goes down like this, and my ears shut off, and suddenly my eyes are bloodshot, and I can't see, and I'm lost, and I'm going to fall to the ground and get trampled to death under all these people. And so I start to fall. And it's kind of like in those movies where you get shot and everything's like you start slipping away. And again, I can see it in my imagination. I'm gonna fall to the ground if I eventually step to the ground, and I'm gonna get stampeded by all these big fat teenagers. So I quickly grabbed myself, and I think I put my hand in somebody's mouth to pull myself up and get the fuck away from these people as I possibly could. And I scrambled, and it wasn't easy. And after a few minutes, I get over to the bar, and the bartender's looking at me like, what the fuck do you want? And if my neck had not been so compressed, and if I didn't hurt that, I might be shorter because of it, actually. If it did not hurt as bad as it did, I was gonna get something and shank this dude, because he doesn't know what I just went through. And that's my got hurt real bad in a mosh pit story. So yeah, my advice is don't go to the Key Club, because you'll get hurt. And in fact, I'll tell another story. I want to tell a Key Club story. So you guys go ahead, settle back, because I know you guys like when I tell the Key Club stories. You may not have heard this one, but also at the Key Club a few years later, actually, we were seeing. When I say we, the band I was in was opening at the Key Club for Creator with a K, and we were downstairs in the merch table area, and I'm telling a story. And I'll tell you the story. The night before, we're over at my buddy Bob's house, and we're all drinking beer, and we're all passed out we're actually at Bob's mom's house, and we're all passed out on the couch, and I'm just shooting the shit, kind of hammered with a few people I know, and my buddy Dusty, my drummer Dusty, with a big beard. You may have seen him in the Temple Crepitus videos way back when. He's sitting Indian style on the, you know what I mean. He's sitting Indian style, cross-legged on the fireplace, on the brick fireplace, and he doesn't look very comfortable. And I don't realize, but he's sleeping, and he's sleeping Indian style like this. And one of the girls that usually would hang out with us, her name was Nicole. And Nicole, bless her heart, I thought she was kind of a fucking bitch, but bless her heart, she put down a pillow, and she was trying to push Dusty over, try and get it to lean over and, lay down, go to sleep. Till, he's ready to drive home or whatever, because he was, passed out, kind of fell into a pile. And she keeps trying to push him, and I guess accidentally pushes his neck to get him to push over. And immediately, Dusty comes alive, just wide-eyed, and takes a wild swing and, through, a really good hook, and misses Nicole by, I want to wager, like about 1.5 inches. And Nicole pulled away just in time to not get a face full of fist. And I says, wow. So later at the Key Club, and Dusty, and now the next day at work, Dusty and I, we go to this party, and then the next morning we were working together. We go to work, and then that night we're playing the Key Club. It was a really whirlwind weekend. And late, we just got finished, and I'm telling the story, and I'm telling Bob, because Bob had already went to sleep. And I tell him, yeah, and Dusty takes this wild swing, and I don't realize there's a little girl right here. I shouldn't say little girl. I mean, like 20 years old, but, a bit shorter than me. And I take this wild swing, open fist. It was not a closed fist. And I connect with something. And based on muscle memory, it's like I just hit a face. And I look, and there's this girl, and I said, sweetheart, are you all right? And this blood trickles out of her nose, and I'm like, oh, no. And I'm not smiling. I can laugh about it now. Like, oh, shit. And suddenly, she has like 3 large men flank her and stand by her like they're going to beat me up at the Key Club because of what I figured everyone saw was an accident. I'm like, oh, shit. What I don't realize is my group is comprised of a couple of girls and 8 fairly large men, and they take up to my side, and I'm like, and in almost no time, it's like, there's a fight's gonna happen. Oh shit! This is gonna happen. We're going to jail, and those guys immediately backed down, and the girl ran into the bathroom, and I never saw him again. And a couple of dudes came over who saw what happened. Dude, we saw what happened, man. If anybody says anything, no, it was an accident. You didn't mean to. She shouldn't have been standing there. And then I kind of felt kind of bad. Like, what does that mean? She's not allowed to stand places. It's a public place. But that's what happened at the Key Club. So, yeah, if you're around somewhere and I'm telling a story, don't stand right here. If you see me somewhere, don't stand right here because I might hit you in the face. And then there's going to be a fight. And it doesn't have to be like that. We'll just have a drink. It'll be all right. All right? But don't stand right here. You know, because please. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I don't know if I've shared that before. So let me see here. And everyone says alert Anita Sarkeesian. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, Anita Sarkeesian needs to hang over my shoulder a little bit. And, then that bitch is going through a table. I keep doing that. I'm going to draw all this heat and then I'm going to be embroiled in controversy. And frankly, I just don't care. So, anyway. And Kishiro guy says, at least I didn't go to jail. Well, I didn't do anything. It was an accident. I'm sure even the police would have saw it that way. But if there had been a full-blown melee in the merch room at the Key Club, I'm sure I would have at least been questioned. I probably could have talked my way out of it, but, why do it if you don't have to? Why waste good lives if you don't really need to? Kashiro guy wants to know, do I have any recommended hidden GBA games or GBA games in general? Two that I'm playing through right now actually are Metroid Zero Mission and F-Zero Maximum Velocity. I'm not the most well-versed person at the vast library, of Game Boy Advance games, but there's a lot of crap on the Game Boy Advance, I can tell you that. Anything called Top Gun, you stay as far away from that as you possibly can. That's some of the best advice I could possibly give. And if it says Metroid on it, go for it. Great Metroid titles on the Game Boy Advance. So anyway, and now people are asking, now Anita Sarkeesian with the Stone Cold Stunner, the Diamond Cutter, and a pile driver. I would love to use the pile driver, even though I don't believe in the pile driver, because the pile driver can kill people. And not a tombstone pile driver. I can't do. I'm better at the tombstone pile driver. Tombstone pile driver, you have more control and it's less likely you'll kill somebody. I probably shouldn't be saying that because then you guys are going to be all disillusioned like me and you're not going to believe wrestling when you watch it either. Because now everybody's trying to engage in lying to themselves, which is good, because that's how wrestling works. That's how entertainment works. You have to succumb to the bullshit in order for the bullshit to work. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the Bussiverse says that Games of War put up a video on underrated GBA games. Well, go over and see Games of War. Just don't pick a fight with him or anything, or he might close his channel and go home. Oh, that's right. I said it. Let me see here. Midnight Defender wants to know what bass distortions, overdrives, and fuzzes do I like? Well, that's the real problem with bass guitar effects. It's hard to draw the difference between distortions, overdrives, and fuzzes on the bass guitar level. There's only a handful of boxes that really stand out from others. I've always relied on the Boss bass overdrive. It does the job. It's a pissed off, angry sound. It can remove a lot of the bass end from your bass signal, but it's if you're gonna dirty it, you're gonna lose that anyway because most distortion is just a treble boost anyway. So you're gonna lose that. But that one's a great one, and I'm really curious about because I guess I'm gonna have to start playing bass a little bit more because there's a project coming up that. My buddy Eric, who usually plays bass for everything that I do, he's playing guitar and he's like, I'm playing guitar. I'm like, I guess I'm playing bass then. But the Boss bass driver, I'm curious to see how that one works out. I wish I had the equipment to review these things so I could really give you a real demo and really talk about my feelings on these things. Maybe one day, but it seems like that market is really crowded, whereas animated live storytelling like we do here each and every week. There's not as many people doing this. So I'm glad that I can do this and not have to do what those people do. Yes. Anita Sarkeesian's getting a power bomb. Yeah, both the Boss Overdrive and I'm curious with the new Boss Bass driver. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those pedals that's kind of misunderstood and therefore will receive a price cut, and that's always good to me. That's always good for me. Sprites and Bites is here. Sprites and Bites is here, and he wants to know my favorite alcoholic beverage. Sprites and Bites, who he and I were discussing, he's trying to convert me, I think, to the PlayStation Vita camp, and I was asking him about battery capability the other day. So my favorite alcoholic beverage, I don't know that I have a favorite, but I'm a whiskey drinker myself. In fact, we're having Seagram 7, but you didn't see that, Sprites, because you just got here. Anyway, Psycho DX wants to know when there's going to be a new gear video showing off the amp. I don't think you'd really get anything from it. It's a really loud amplifier, and I'm afraid it would overload the microphone on my camera. I'll give it a shot, and if I can get something out of it, I'll do what I can. Louis Williams wants to know if I ever thought about teaching guitar. I used to teach guitar, and now I don't have the patience for it. I really don't. The last guitar lesson I gave to was to my mother-in-law, and you know, I used to do it, and now I don't care for it. There's not a lot of money to be made, and it's, in fact, can I talk about this for a second? I think I will. And there's nothing you can do about it. I was at the Guitar Center, the Guitar Center closest to us here, and I go there because it's close by, and just to see what's new. You know, they really don't carry a lot of equipment. They carry a lot of toys, but you know, I want to see what's new, and I saw a couple of things that were new over there. But just for fun, I stopped by, and by the bathroom of all places is where they have the bulletin board that has all the people looking for bands and people looking for musicians, and the thing was just littered with concert bills featuring old people playing at little rinky-dink venue like Michelangelo Badio and all that BS. And the rest of it was just these people that were like just washed up instrumentalists. I'll teach you to play drums or guitar or cello or whatever. And it was just so sad. And I don't want to be one of those people that just sit there and beg you to give me money so I can teach you an instrument that you're just going to give up in a year or so anyway. I know that's kind of cynical, but hey, if you didn't want that, you wouldn't come to this program. So, Kishira Guy wants to know, do you think Nirvana is overrated? Yes. Well, Nirvana's not really a metal band. Nirvana's really a lazy punk rock band. I think Nirvana is overrated, but Nirvana, you know, the rise of Nirvana was very similar to the rise of Christianity. It only got good after he died, and people still talk about it too. There's lots of people forgotten throughout music, and why that guy, I don't know. Don't care. Not that I really think there's really that many visionaries in music to where you could say they should be, you know, care. Just like Randy Rhoads. Like Randy Rhoads has been dead longer than he was alive. What did he really do that wouldn't have been done by somebody before him? You know, it was only a matter of time, you know, because him and Yngwie Malmsteen kind of came up around the same time. So classical music would have found its way into heavy metal anyway. At least that's the way I feel about it. Floyd with Ego wants to know my thoughts on Deaf Heaven. I have no idea what that is. And Robert Sanders is eating a pot pie. Well, good for you. Floyd with Ego wants to know my favorite black metal bands. We always talk about black metal. I like Dark Funeral and lots of other things, but Burzum and Mayhem are a bunch of bullshit. That's right, I said it. Best black metal band of all time was called Merciful Fate. And Sprites and Bite says he's going to convert me to the PlayStation Vita. Well, I look forward to that. I would really like to see you, throw some classy software at me and win me over on the PlayStation Vita, because I want to. I really do. The same way I want to be won over on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4, but it's not there. It's so boring that I have nothing about those to talk about. And anytime someone wants to talk to me about those, they want to talk about some re-release of a game that came out like 2 years ago. It's like, you didn't get enough of it then? I mean, that's not even time enough for nostalgia to build up. How can you be nostalgic for something like a little while ago? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But Fatality 65 wants to know if I lift. Yes, I lift your mother. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And all 3 times she was awful. And heavy. That's not me. That's Senior Seagram's talking. I disavow all knowledge of this program. Anyway. Did I mention that you guys should really follow me? There's all kinds of information down below to check me out on the Twitter and the Facebook and the MiiVerse and all that stuff. Did I mention that? Please check it out. And also, don't forget to check me out on the 8-Bit Podcast. There's a 8-Bit Podcast link and all that stuff down below. So go and check that down below. Not Adrian Ballou, but down below. All those people. But yeah, check me out down there. And also, don't forget, I hope that you can join me for Pissing in the Live Stream number 8, I think. We're doing a lot of these now. May the 1st, that's a Friday. So we hope to see you there. And with the summer coming, there's going to be a lot more gaming news, so more 8-Bit podcasts, hopefully. People wonder why we don't do it as often as we do. There's not really anything to talk about. It's kind of the same thing. People being fucks to you nice people. You have the decency to give them money, and what do they give you? They give you garbage. And sometimes it gets tiresome to say that over and over and over again, because it's no less true than it was 2 years ago. So that's the fact of the matter on that. Let me see here. And Mark Andre wants the PS Vita cult to go away. Well, cults exist for a reason, I guess. Look at Christianity. That hung in there for a while. P.D. Perona wants to know, have I played the new Pokemon games? I have not. If you're talking about the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I have not. I have not yet. I imagine they're the same. Lewis Williams wants to know, am I a fan of Yngwie Malmsteen? Yes, I am. I'm a fan, and my favorite album of his was an album from the 90s, actually. I think it was 1999, called Facing the Animal. That was a real good. That one was a real breath of fresh air when 99 was a pretty tough year for music. And it was nice to know that Yngwie was still doing what he did best. Unlike fucking George Lynch and a lot of the other quote-unquote guitar heroes in the late 90s. All those faggots that quickly ran out and sold out and bought themselves a flannel shirt and all that bullshit. Fuck those guys. But yeah, Facing the Animal. That's the one and it's still a rock-solid listen to this day. The lyrics, maybe not 100%, but good stuff. In fact, I think I might listen to it right after the program. You've inspired me, Lewis Williams. Thank you very much. And so, yeah. Foamy Fan wants to know, is the E3 damage report? Yes, we are. We'll be doing an E3 damage report, hopefully right after E3. And you know what's funny is, while I got you, while we're talking about E3, E3's coming up. We're about 8 weeks out from E3, so the countdown has begun. And I was thinking about this today while I was getting ready for the program. E3 has really become a holiday for us gamers, but not a holiday like the way holidays used to be. Remember when you were a kid, Christmas time would come around and all the folks, the grandparents, the people that gave you money, and there was food and candy, and there's going to be presents when Santa Claus gets here. That's how E3 used to be. Now E3 is like a holiday when you have a wife and a family and children. It's a big pain in the ass. It's a whole bunch of people bringing you shit you didn't ask for and you don't want, and it's a mess, and you just wish it would go away, but you'll be excited again for it next year, and you'll probably have a stomach ache at the end too. So if you notice, like I said, we're pushing these programs earlier and earlier. One of these times, I would really hope to do this myself, and I don't even know, so you guys can call me bullshit on this if this never actually happens, but I would love to be your E3 companion and do a live program just like this on Monday and Tuesday morning of E3. I would like to, and if I think there's going to be enough, I'll try and do it anyway, and I hope you guys will join me. And if not, hey, fuck you. I'll just sit here all by myself and drink my coffee and say wild shit all by my lonesome. We could do that too. So yeah, let me get to a few more questions here. I don't want to take off right away. I want to ask a few more questions, even though my throat is getting a little dry because I'm not having my fluids like I should. It's not like it used to be. You guys, some people, I don't know if any of you folks can remember, but there was a time when you would come to a Yellkaos live stream and it would go on for days. And it was good. But now I don't do that so much anymore. I'm really waiting. I'm really waiting for someone to invite me to a 24-hour live gaming stream. And I'll come over to their house and I'll talk bullshit and eat their food for a day or so. I'm really waiting for that. Someone needs to invite me to one of these things. They really do. Somebody, anybody. Fanox wants to know, have you read any Stephen King? I've read a number of Stephen King novels, and they're scary. My favorite Stephen King work is the writing he did for 2 films called Creepshow that he did with George Romero back in the 80s. That was my favorite Stephen King work, and some of the films are actually pretty funny. They're not supposed to be funny, but they are funny. So that's my favorite Stephen King work. And my mother was a big fan of Cujo and Christine, and she read them to me when I was a kid. She's must be fucked up in the head or something. I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I have to live with. And Lewis Williams says that if I come to his house, he will pay me in British food. And again, I will scoff at your British food. On the other hand, there might be some British food I like. I understand you folks have kale. So there's that. And carrots and cabbage. You got cabbage over there, so it might be all right. It might turn out okay. Anyway, because your guy wants to know if I ever played D Blob 1 or 2. I played the first one. I don't remember a lot about it. It was very colorful. It was very colorful, kind of like Splatoon. I have to dig back into those games because I don't remember a lot about those games. The pilot wants to know if I had to pick one of these, which would you choose, Ibanez or Schecter? I find that Ibanez is one of the most inconsistent, in terms of the brand name, one of the most inconsistent manufacturers on the face of the earth. And I'm comparing them to Fender and Gibson. They have so many lines and so many trims that it's hard to say. Schecter is pretty consistent. Most Schecters feel quite similar. I like Schecter guitars more on the whole than I like Ibanez guitars. I don't know why that is. I like Ibanez basses more than anything else, whereas I think the Schecter basses are lacking. So, but yeah, it depends on the application really. But if I were going to go just guitar, throw me a Schecter. You know, they feel pretty good. On the whole, they're pretty consistent. Juggernaut thinks I'm talking shit about fish and chips. Well, I'm not a big fan of cod or fish, but chips. Yeah, you give me some chips. I'm a happy camper. Some chips with some tomato ketchup. I'm a happy camper. If you got Lewis, let me tell you this right now. If you got some chips over at your house, I just might come over. I might play for chips. I think I would. We call them French fries here, but I know what they are, and I'll come over and I'll have some chips. And then you can ask me all the questions you like. Fried toast, I don't care for fried toast. Baked beans are okay. And sausage and bacon, I'm not a fan. But thank you anyway. Adam Eugene Stansel wants to know, as I talk about the PS Vita, was wondering what my thoughts are on the PSP. I think the PSP is, I can't play it for long spurts. I don't think it's a very comfortable handheld. It's more comfortable than other handhelds I've played. But I think it's interesting. There's a really, my friend Return to Mother Base despises the UMD, the Universal Media Disc. I think UMDs are kind of interesting. And I don't know. There's all kinds of interesting stuff on there. Weird Japanese movies and stuff. So it's an interesting system. But again, I just can't play it for long spells. Max Mindex wants to know, can I review a pizza on my channel? I'm not a reviewer. I could eat the pizza and just tell you what I think about it, but I'm sure there are entire channels dedicated to that. I think my friend Rudy over at What Would Rudy Eat does that sort of thing. He clogs up his heart for you. He doesn't do it for me, but you know, I keep telling him he probably shouldn't do that because he's got a little girl on the way, and you know, clogged up arteries and little girls do not mix. Kishiro guy wants to know if I heard of Danganronpa. I've heard of Danganronpa, but I'm not familiar with what it is. I'm sorry. And Jason Robertson is eating chips right now. Good for you. Psycho DX wants to know what is my favorite brand of guitar that I prefer playing. Well, as I've said before in this program, brand doesn't really mean a whole lot. Every guitar is different, but the ones that I lean towards are BC Rich and Michael Kelly guitars. I also happen to really enjoy Yamaha guitars as well as Schecter guitars. There's I've also developed a recent affinity for for Traben basses. I've developed a real affinity. I'm gonna get one pretty soon. I like them a lot. Excuse me. And Ralph Pouton wants to know my thoughts. Oh God, I'm glad you brought this up, Ralph. I actually have it right here in my notes. I was talking. If you guys haven't checked out Bithead 1000 here on the YouTube, I have something to report. Shots fired at Metal Jesus on the Bithead 1000 program this past week. What do I think about Metal Jesus and his $50,000 road trip? You can give him money if you like. You can give me money if you like. You know, that's really up to you. I know that there are some people that think it to be a cockamamie waste of money, and I can't say that's untrue. It's a little suspect. Not that far removed from that fucking turd with the Cheetah Man game. Well, what was his name? I was bad-mouthing him for a couple of years there. Greg, old fuck, asshole, piece of shit, whatever. Shyster motherfucker. I can't remember his name. I'm already maligning people with the way I'm prefacing this, but apparently Metal Jesus is going on a road trip and he wants you to pay for it, and he wants to be paid as though he were at work. And I have experience with this, being a touring musician, and you don't get paid to be on vacation. You know, being a musician and doing what I did, which I hope to do once again. I hope to be able to bring a show that's entertaining like this for you folks, along with music, to your town. Or I hope you come see me where, if I ever make an appearance with somewhere. I really hope you do. But you know, that's not you. If any problem I have is when he did the breakdown. I did see the breakdown that he did for how much this trip is going to cost. You know, if you're doing something that sounds ridiculous, you don't stop and justify it with numbers. You either let it stand for what it is. And I don't want to tell anybody how to do their business or how to do what it is that they do. That's not what I'm about. But it is rather suspect. And you know, I hope the thing gets funded, and I hope a lot of people have a lot of fun. But I can understand the objections. So if this thing does get funded, I foresee Metal Jesus is going to get you know, the short end of the stick when it really comes to appreciation from a lot of other YouTubers. But realistically, once you have the money, does it matter what people like me and Bithead and all this other YouTubers. Does it matter what we think? No, not really. But I don't ever expect you guys to pay for me to go on tour. If you would like to, if that's something you would like to do, cool. I'm astounded by the very nice people who have traveled all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada, from their hometown just to see me. A good longtime supporter of the program, and a guy that did just that, Atron Corey, who's been following me for a long time, came all the way out. Claims he came all the way out to Las Vegas, Nevada, to see me, and that alone is dedication from you folks, and I cannot begin to reward such things. I really hope that you folks, if you do get a chance to see me and you want to take a picture with me, I like that. I appreciate that. But I'd also appreciate it if you would say more than, hey, I like your videos, and then run away screaming. It's okay to talk to me. I don't want to call myself a nice guy because there are people who might argue with that, but I'm at least a halfway decent fella. And I will sit there and I will talk to you. I will take the time. So I hope I answered your question as thoroughly as possible. And I guess some people have never been a fan of Metal Jesus. Well, I can't say I'm a fan of Metal Jesus, but he's got great video editing techniques, so there's that. And Psycho DX says he gladly fund the Metal Kazoo project. I'm working on it. Relax. Rest your sphincter. It'll come to fruition eventually. And if it doesn't, I'll write a song just for you if that'll make you feel better. So let me see here. Boston Burf talks about how, yeah, he's raising money to go spend money in your town and to buy the stuff at your thrift store, thereby, they're essentially asking to be paid to be sharks in the water, but whatever. If that's what the people are into, that's what the people are into. And if the people aren't into it, they won't make the money. It won't matter anyway. Adam Eugene Stansel wants to talk about wrestling again. He says, besides Sting, Hogan, and Nash, who do you think was the franchise or mainstay of WCW? There was no mainstay of WCW. The mainstay of WCW was Ted Turner, and that is all. There's this idea that WCW had this strong brand identity. WCW was much like WWF in the middle 90s. They would cling to whatever fucking brand would pay them for advertising. Karate Fighters and RoboCop and shit like that. They didn't care, And again, I'm of the mind that Sting never really had it. I don't see Sting as this great icon. I like Sting, but was Sting ever the charismatic powerhouse that was a Hulk Hogan or that was a Bruno Sammartino? No. Or a Ric Flair. Say what you want about Ric Flair. Ric Flair was definitely a charismatic powerhouse. No two ways about it. Boston Burf wants to know, what washed up wrestlers do I think will show up at next year's WrestleMania? If things keep going the way they're going, and I assume they will be, especially with things on the network, they're all going to be washed up by next WrestleMania, so it won't really matter. Anyway, thank you, folks. That's all my time. That's all the time I've got. I really appreciate it, and I thank you guys for stopping by. I want to remind each and every one of you to check out the information box down below, and make sure and follow me on your Twitter, on your Facebook, on the MiiVerse. Give us a sub if you don't have one already. Also, check out the Hate Bit podcast May 1st, Friday, May the 1st, pissing on the live stream. Please be there. I hope to see each and every one of you there. Also, I want to remind you that you guys are great. I am the immortal Yellkaos, and I want to remind you to take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I'll see you next week right here on the internationally acclaimed Monday Night Chaos. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.